now that more eyes are on me, I'm self-sabotaging. I'm like, okay, people want to see reviews and in-depth things. I'm gonna do a chit chat get ready with me in my garden. Hey guys, so today I did not want to sit up in my filming room while it was this beautiful outside. And lately my favorite place to be is out in my garden. So that's where we are. I figured I would film a get ready with me in my garden. And I thought this might be kind of interesting, a different change of pace, different view in the background, and it's really feels so nice outside, and I just cannot be cooped up in my room. Okay, let's put our makeup on out here. The light may be horrible because the sun is directly beating down on me, but that's okay, right? I'm gonna start off with the Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream. A little bit of this. I'm gonna do mostly cream products today. I'm gonna go in with my Hourglass Vanish Stick Foundation. If any of you guys have been following along our process, I actually talked about this on Twitter yesterday. We are in the search for some land. We're looking to buy a whole bunch of acreage and in the next few years be able to build a house on it or buy one with an existing house on it, which is I'm finding a lot more rare because the houses that are on them are just too extravagant. We're not looking for a big giant house. We just want something kind of modest and that will suit our needs. And we're hoping to make it pretty self-sustaining. So that's kind of our goal. And we have been looking every single day on Zillow, Redfin, and just driving around, and we found the land, you guys. The most perfect, beautiful, wonderful 20 acres. It had electricity, septic, and water already all ready to go. And it had a full apple orchard, like an established apple orchard, and 3 hives of mason bees, which are these type of bees that are amazing at pollinating, but they're the most docile bee. You don't have to wear like beekeeping suits with them apparently because they do not sting people. They're this super docile bee, and we really want to have bees when we finally have our land. We want to go all in. We found it, the perfect land, you guys. It was within our price range completely. 20 acres, mostly treed, but there was like 2 areas cleared. Literally perfect in every way, shape, and form. And so we went out there, we looked at it, we spoke to the owner, we were about to put an offer in, and we had to call the lender. And when I called the lender, she was like, okay, sounds good. Well, she goes, are there any water rights issues? And I was like, I don't think so. And she's like, you need to check that before we start going through the loan process. And so she was like, you need to call the Department of Ecology and make sure that there are no issues with water rights. And if there's not, then we're good to go. I was so upset to hear that apparently the land is considered deeded land. When you run into that, you run into a lot of issues with legalities as far as whose land is whose. But apparently the water and mineral rights of this specific land do not belong to the owner. I called everyone because this was, when I tell you guys this was the land of our dreams, like the most beautiful, the most perfect, most well-maintained, beautiful, gorgeous, incredible, just it couldn't have been more beautiful. But when I called the Department of Ecology, they were like, unfortunately you would not own the rights to the water here nor the mineral rights, and the lenders won't lend on that because they said it's too risky of an investment for them and you don't own the water, so you shouldn't even buy the land, is what the gal told us. So you guys would cry if you saw it. The full apple orchard, there was established all different kinds of apples on the property. There was my favorite, which are Honeycrisp. There was Gala, Fuji, Granny Smith. There was blueberry bushes, thornless blackberries, raspberries, and there was an entire cleared section of garden that was ready for vegetable planting. It was all fenced in, the whole garden, so that deer couldn't eat everything. But he said you get so many apples that you can pick them and throw them on the ground for the deer, and they come in with their families and eat. And I was just all in. It sounded like the best thing of my entire life, and we were so ready. And then we found out that we can't have it because a lot of people asked when I said on Twitter like what water rights meant. A lot of people asked, and I asked the Department of Ecology guy, I was like, what does that mean? And he said, essentially when you don't own the water to your own property, because they had already hooked all of that up, the previous owner, the one that owns it right now that's trying to sell it, he was like, the people who own the water rights and the mineral rights can deny you the ability to get a building permit. So basically all the utilities are installed, but they can say you can't build a house here. And he said at any point, because they own mineral rights, they can come in and dig up your land. So they could be like, hey, you can't use this well anymore, or we think that you have a natural resource like natural gas or oil under your land, and they could come and just like rip your land up. So we've been actually documenting this process and filming the places that we go to and the land to show you guys like what we're looking for and why we're not purchasing these. We're going to upload those on our second channel, which is The Sweet Life of Zach and Kristi. I'll link it up here if you guys are interested. Right now we have 2 videos up on that channel, and we're going to be talking all about the process of buying land and the things that we're learning along the way, because there is so much to know. We did not realize how in-depth this process is going to be. It's not at all like find land, put an offer in. So one thing that we're realizing is that when you buy, if it's a vacant lot in the state of Washington, you need to have 30% down, which is crazy because that's like hundreds of thousands of dollars a lot of times. I don't know who just has that kind of money sitting around. Lenders don't want to loan on lots and land, you know, they want to loan on a house that's already established. So I brought this okay. So I brought this Colourpop Super Shock down. This is the shade Goodbye Butterfly. I've never used this before, but I'm kind of going for like a peachy look today. Oh, feels a little dried out. I wanted to do a look today basically that I could do with my fingers and like one brush. I didn't want to go too overboard with things since I knew I was going to be doing it outside. So if you guys are interested in seeing a video about my garden and how everything is, you can tell that I'm sitting in it right now. It's very small. We're not like having this huge garden, but we're learning so much, and we talk all about that and like growing mushrooms and how to propagate vegetables. Like my husband did a little section in the video where he shows how to take cuttings from existing plants. So you can like cut your existing plants, like basil is what he uses, and you can cut it apart and like put it in water and it will start growing new basil. So basically you can take one plant and turn it into multiple plants. Especially us, like with basil, that's the main reason we did that, is because we use a lot of it. It's one of our main used herbs, and one plant, if we just used it as often as we do, we would go through it in like just a few days. So if you take cuttings and propagate it and turn it into multiple plants, then you can have just like limitless basil plants, and you can do it with so many. It's not just basil. We're doing it with the thyme right now. We did it with celery. I know that it's weird because there's like an evolution of people on their channels, right? You watch people on YouTube and you're like, God, you're so different than you used to be. And I do see myself like that. I'm like, who am I? Because 5 years ago, Kristi would have looked at this Kristi and been like, what are you doing? Why are you talking about this stuff? Like, it's funny how people can change over time. Because I used to be like, I don't know who'd care about like a garden. I remember I used to ask myself, I'm like, why is it that all people who get older start to care about the same things, like gardening? I remember I never could understand that. I was like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And now the older I'm getting and the more I'm starting to care about that kind of stuff, and the less I'm starting to care about stuff I used to like, it's just interesting how everything can change. And I feel like it's literally the moment I hit 30, and it's not even like I made a comment to myself of like, okay, you're 30 now, you have to do this kind of stuff. It was like my priorities just shifted. And I think that's why it's really important that we don't, and I mean, I don't want to tell anyone what to do, because you can't tell people what to do because you're not their real dad, but you can't tell people what to do because they're gonna make the choices that they want to make. Like for me, nobody could have told me not to buy this house, but the hard part is you have to go through things to learn, and that's why you need to learn by trial and error and actually doing things yourself. But I think that one thing that I really have learned in my life is that you don't need to make these big, giant, life-altering decisions so young. I feel like people feel the pressure to like buy houses, do all this big stuff like early in their life. And how I feel is that the older I'm getting, the more I wished I would have just been a little bit more patient. That's one thing I'm learning a lot as I'm growing older, is to just be more patient, because you think you know everything when you're younger. Like for me, no one could have told me anything, because when you want something, you shoot for it. Especially me before, I felt like when I wanted to do something, I needed to be doing it now and nobody's gonna tell me what to do. But what I'm realizing is that the older I'm getting, the more those priorities are shifting for me, and that my decision making is getting better as I'm getting older. And that's why I feel like if you don't feel ready to make those huge life decisions in your 20s or in your teenage years, then don't do it, because I'm not kidding you. You have time. You have time. Stopping and thinking about your long-term goals or what's good for you, because sometimes those rash decisions that we make they're really good life lessons. This is not to say don't take risks, because I think risk taking it's kind of good. And I feel like it's such a good way to know what you do and don't want to do. Just to say, like, don't feel pressured to make those decisions to like figure out what you want to do with your life right now, because next year it's going to be different, the year after that's going to be different, and the year after that's going to be different. Can the wind stop, please? I have changed my mind a million times, and that's okay. I think that's what's kind of cool, is like you are always going to change your mind over time, and that's fine. How else will you know what you do and don't want to do until you've kind of tried it? I talked about this on Twitter too. It was one piece of land that we found, was so beautiful. It was 10 acres. It was up on like this kind of mountain area, not like a huge mountain. We drove all the way to it and we loved it so much. And it definitely needed work, but it was not unfixable basically. So the house was like up on the top, and then all the way down the hill they had cleared. The neighbor was an off-grid beekeeper. Again, me with bees, I know. But I just thought it was so perfect. It was like the house, and then like it was like 3 acres in front that was cleared, and then the back of it was all supposed to be trees. So like the last 7 acres was supposed to be treed, full forest. And when you look at the satellite view overhead, you're like, perfect, amazing. So like there's a huge bank of trees, and we were like, let's just go walk back there to see what we're looking at. And we walked back through the bank of trees, and the owners had cleared all of the rest of the land, and they left all the stumps. They had sold off all the lumber, and I understand why they do it. I know they got money for it, but it made it for us just not worth it. I like this makeup. You guys can probably barely see it since I'm sitting outside in the brightest sunshine. This is a good way to do your makeup though. You can see every little flaw. This is my zucchini. I don't know if you guys can see it. Can you see my zucchini? No, you can see this is jalapeno. This one doesn't look too great, but I think it's doing okay. It's got some blossoms on the top. This is our eggplant, and that is a tomato right here. So if you guys are interested in seeing more of this and me going in depth, showing you from the day we planted it as a little teeny baby to the growth of it now, then you guys should check out that other channel. We've only posted 2 videos to it, but I really love it. It's my favorite to edit. I love it so much. I think we're gonna go for a walk today. I wanna get out and like actually do some physical activity. I threw my back out yesterday. I don't know what I did, but it happens like once every couple of months. I throw my back out like on my lower left. It's been happening that way since I was like 15 years old, and I did it yesterday, so I need to get out and actually move. All right, well that's pretty much it. I think that's all I have to say. I know this video is so different from my other content. I just wanted to try something new, get outside, be in the sunshine, and chat with you guys and just kind of keep it chill and low key. It's funny because it's like I don't know what to do now that more eyes are on me. I'm self-sabotaging. I'm like, okay, people want to see reviews and in-depth things. I'm gonna do a chit chat, get ready with me in my garden. I know they don't want this, I know they don't care, but I'm going to do it anyway. Raw self-sabotage Kristi, back at it again. So I just filmed the chatty get ready with me outside in my garden, and I finished editing it, and I was like, wow, it's so boring. I am doing that thing where I'm like, okay, right now I don't know what to talk about. It's like, Kristi, talk about makeup. Talk about makeup. Because right now I want to talk about microscopes. So in this video, I want you guys to tell me what you want to see under a microscope, because that will be one of my next videos. I want to film a bunch of different things under a microscope. Anything you guys are interested in, I just want to go hard. It's what I'm interested in. I think it's so cool. I could literally look at microscope footage for hours and I do. I am no scientist, I am no biologist, I don't know anything other than, wow, that looks neat up close, or wow, that looks gross. So let me know what you are interested in me throwing under one of them, because I am more than happy to do it with everything, and will and have. I have seen every inch of my body under a microscope, and let me tell you, I don't know if 1 inch of it actually looked good. Also very random, okay, very random, and it's gonna be TMI. This was my first cycle using a menstrual cup, and I have a lot of things to say about it. I've been talking about it on Twitter. If you guys don't follow me there, you might want to if you're interested in hearing more updates rather than just makeup. Let me know if you guys are interested in me doing a video like Samantha has done. Sam did 2 full videos on like her Diva Cup experience and then the Salt Cup. This is my first time using the Salt Soft, and I definitely have some thoughts. I can share them if you guys are interested. I think it's something that a lot of us ladies need to talk about, and we don't, because it's just like, I don't know, for some reason it's one of those taboo, icky topics where we don't really want to talk about. And it's so funny because I was talking to Sam the other day, and we were like talking about like, oh man, have you ever shit your pants? And we like had this whole conversation about how like the times that we shit our pants. And then we had a conversation like 2 seconds later, and we were like, okay, so I tried a menstrual cup, and I was like, okay, so my period. And like, why am I so nervous to talk about something that's so normal and so common? And so I would like to talk about it because I think that if you guys have ever been interested, if you want to know my experience with it, I was always like, I hear other people and I'm like, okay, but not me. I'm not gonna like it. I think it's weird. It sounds like too much of a hassle. It sounds frustrating. It sounds super messy, and I've definitely had some experiences with it. And I would say a lot of the questions I had have now been answered by my experience. So if you guys have any questions on it, please ask them, because I'm more than happy to either film a video like Sam did or let you guys know in the comments if you have any questions about it. It's been quite the last few days. We've been doing a lot of soul searching, a lot of office watching, and a lot of Lumineers listening. When I get into these moods where I'm very emotional, okay, because it is that time of the month, so emotional that I have been crying at the drop of a hat, at literally anything that anybody is saying at all times. And so in that, I like to listen to music that makes me feel some kind of way, and that's been the Lumineers. I cannot get enough watching The Office and tearing up every time I see Jim and Pam. It's too much for me. So I don't know why I get this way. I get too in my head, and I judge myself too much about the stuff that I'm doing, and I think everything's just fine. So I have a whole list of videos that I want to do. I just need to get to doing them. So let me know about the microscope stuff. Let me know about the menstrual cup, and I will talk about all the things. We can make videos on all the topics. I'm gonna quit apologizing for the type of content that I make, because at the end of the day, it's videos, and there's gonna be ones that are like this, and there's gonna be ones that are like highly produced. So I hope you guys like it nonetheless, and I love you so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you at my next video. Bye.